Welcome to the Building Design Primetime Podcast, focused on providing valuable information for anyone looking to undertake a new build or extension project. We'll share our tips, tricks and stories from a building designer's perspective.
Hi everyone, this is a continuation of the podcast from the BDAA National Festival of Design Trade Night at the Rest Point Casino. My pleasure to have Chris Knierim, CEO, and Darren Evans, current President of the BDAA, come in for a chat. We're talking about what's been going on with the BDAA, where it's going. Hope you enjoy that.
Hello and welcome to the Building Design Primetime Podcast. I'm your host Amelia, and once again we're joined by Frank Geskus.
Hey Amelia, we're still here at the BDAA trade show.
We are. It's been a wonderful night. We've interviewed a lot of exhibitors.
Yes.
Learnt a lot about claddings and tapware and all kinds of stuff.
CLT.
Yes, cross-laminated timber.
Yep. But now we're going to talk to a couple of dodgy looking gentlemen. Not quite, no. So we have Darren Evans, current President of the Building Design Association, and Chris Knierim from the CEO of the BDAA. Now, open disclosure, I've got to tell everyone, I'm the immediate past president of the BDAA. And now we're being heckled from the side, so we're in the hallway and everyone's heckling us. So, thanks for coming on, guys.
You're welcome. No problem whatsoever. Thanks, Frank. Thanks for having it.
You sound worried I'm going to...
A little bit. Just when...
I'm all worried about you saying something inappropriate.
No, I wouldn't do that. It was just a heckler with his undoing a button.
What is wrong with Michael?
Oh my goodness, this is supposed to be a G-rated podcast, people.
Well, we may need to revise the rating.
We might.
We can chop out the bad bits.
That's all right. I'm pretty sure there's a disclosure I've written somewhere.
You've lost it.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So, got you guys on here. So, what new innovations are coming up for BDAA in over the next year?
We've had some workshops. We've been workshopping both here in Australia and around the world. So we've just come back from New Zealand, meeting with the architectural designers in New Zealand, looking to build relationships, looking to do a lot of cross-border, liaison, building relationships not only for our members, but also board members and associations, so we can have affiliate associations providing like-minded service to one another and support each other. And I guess in Australia, there's just been a lot of, problems in the housing market with the fact that housing affordability, number one.
Has that changed?
Oh, it's unbelievable. The push by government saying we're going to, 1.2 million homes. We know it's unrealistic. All of these expectations they're putting on the market, yet the consumer doesn't have the money. So how are we ever going to reach the 1.2 million homes? And you're not going to reach it anyway because of the fact that it takes 2 years by the time you do the concepts to the completion of the design to getting the house built. So you're 2 years down the path, we're already several 100,000 homes behind what they need in year one. So
you're always going to be chasing your tail.
Yeah.
This is not the first time it's happened in Australia, though. After the war, World War II, they had that massive problem. It took them like 23 years to catch up.
Exactly. And I think one of the other aspects is that, yes, there's a big regulatory sort of thing that what we're trying to do and what we know as an industry is very hard to achieve. And I think that's across the board. That's not just us as from building designers. It's the builders, it's any other consultants and the suppliers are all...
And the skills shortage.
And the skills shortage.
Not from construction all the way down into our field as well.
So understanding that, and from a political point of view, they want to still keep on pushing that barrel and saying it's all going to happen. From our point of view as the Building Design Association, we've been concentrating on the regulatory aspect, the licensing aspect of the designers, making sure that our designers are upskilled to be able to lift to the challenges that are coming and happening within our industry. The licensing in New South Wales is going to be an awesome change, and it's one that we've been looking for a long time. And that's going to create a tightening, I suppose, of the quality of building designer. So building designers, they know that and they're working towards upskilling so that they're ready for it.
Yeah.
It's also going to strengthen the fact that the consumer are going to have more confidence in the industry because people are going to actually now be accountable for the work that they do. The Building Commission in New South Wales has been highly looked upon from other states and territories as that benchmark for many years, and they've got the resources and they've got the finances to be able to put this together. The Building Commission was developed from one person, being the Building Commissioner. It's now over 400 employees within around 3 to 4 years. Other states and territories, when we're meeting and having discussions with government, the government are saying that they are waiting to see what's happening in New South Wales to pick apart what they've done and implement all the good points that they believe they could implement, and the other points that aren't so good they're not going to bother with in their state and territory. Doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect for them. However, they want to pick and choose what they would like.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had one country, one rule? Like, as in from a license point of view,
It's
standardised rules.
It's very obvious, isn't it?
It is. Just from a costing point of view, we're all conscious of housing affordability, but yet everywhere we turn, there's costs, as in being added on and duplicated.
Red tape
And the red
planning
and
planning, like
we're all here as designers. We want to do the best design that we can for our client, for the site. We want a building that performs. We want it to be energy efficient. We want it to be built so that it lasts. We want all of these things, but then most of the things we're fighting against are, a lot of duplication and frustration, that it takes so long to get things through. And, we're all working very, very hard to change that. And I think from a board level, where we are at the coalface dealing with, the state governments and the building codes and those sort of things to try and make it better for members and for our industry.
it's interesting. There's a lot of people in that space, a lot of organisations in that space, isn't it?
Yes.
We've spoken about this, from builders to consultants, designers. The funny thing is, we're all trying to do the same thing, but sometimes from a different angle,
Yes.
and we don't always agree.
Yep.
And that's hard to navigate that too. And there's a lot at stake, what we're doing.
Yep.
We get this wrong, it goes wrong bad, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Something like this is, I guess in New South Wales itself, it's probably the biggest reform in New South Wales history, and I even believe it's Australian history in the construction sector. It's been much needed reform. People have been pushing it aside for many, many years and saying, it'll be right. But everything's covered with plasterboard and things are hidden with cladding. And it's not until the defects are starting to come to fruition where we've got glass cracking or facades cracking, or you're hearing
People get
in the
sick.
buildings. Yeah, well, that's
Building
another
sick
big one.
homes,
They not designing homes with proper ventilation and creating condensation, which leads to mould. We raise a lot of this at the BDAA. We lobby governments across Australia to make them aware, to raise awareness of the concerns that we have to protect, number one, the consumer. That's who we all consumers ourselves.
And I'm just going to go back to one of the things that you just said there, Chris, in regards to the change, the biggest change in the industry. So obviously New South Wales being the amount that they build, and from a Victorian point of view as well. Not that I'm bringing up any rivalry, because obviously
No, he's never do that.
sorry, did I slip that in?
Yeah.
Don't edit it out. So when we went down a registration path and a licensing path, it was the doom and gloom. It was going to be, everything is going to fall apart. We went through the transition. There was grandfather clausing in regards to people who'd been practicing and had good experience, but not the technical qualifications. And then there were the new ones coming through. So it went through fairly well. Could have been some that was some hiccups, but what it ended up giving the consumer was a really tight industry, that the consumer protection was there. We all had to have insurances. We all had to keep up our PD. It was almost common sense to some degree. But it worked really well. And I think New South Wales, I know there's a lot of factors which are fighting against it, but from a New South Wales point of view, I think as soon as licensing comes in, it's going to be a great thing for the consumers.
Yeah, well, obviously you're going to have consumer protection, and you've got accountability. That's number one.
Accountability is the key, isn't it?
The biggest problem in the construction industry is a lack of accountability. And that's amongst trades. You'll see plenty of construction companies going under because you've got issues going on in their buildings, but the builder himself or herself may not have seen that. And, the tiler all of a sudden, oh, sorry, I can't fix the tile. Oh, that's somebody else,
But I strongly believe, like you're saying, builders going broke. I'm going a bit off topic, but I think it needs to be said that because the fixed price contracts that I was stuck with, they lose money on a job. Oh, I'll do another job. I'll make up the money.
Yep.
But they're not, because the prices went up again.
So they lost it
On a
or
fixed
on the
price
next
contract. And then, I might do a cost plus contract, so it doesn't cost me. But if they have a 10% margin, they've just lost X amount of percentage of this one, X amount of this one, and they're still behind the 8 ball. You're delaying the inevitable. And they're chasing their tail, and all you need is a late payment or whatever, and their cash flow is gone. They've lost their credit. They're toast.
So with the lobbying that we had done with government, the biggest concern that we raised within contracts themselves with the construction sector was the fact that these fixed price contracts, the issue that we identified in our heads of industry meeting, what we lobbied was the fact, or wanted to raise awareness, was the fact that people have these fixed price contracts. No one was expecting to have COVID. No one was expecting that increase in material pricing that we have, which is generally around 30 to 35%. The margins might have been 10%, so they actually can't afford it. So the builders were going to the consumers saying, I actually cannot afford to do your building. The consumers are then coming back and countering that, saying, well, my bank's not going to lend me money to finish your job. The ones that could get the money who said, well, I'm going to bugger that builder off and get someone else. That next builder doesn't want to take the risk because they have to undersign the work that was done before them. And the issue that they had was they were now going to increase their pricing substantially to ensure that they covered the risk if something had happened. So the issue that we have, and a point that I had put to government and so forth, that people need to include in their contract is they need to include a levy for the materials that you purchase. So let's say it's for steel, you've got to put a tonnage rate on the steel of what you've allowed, and there's got to be a tolerance either way in that. And if it exceeds that, for example, copper, I was on doing a job myself, and the copper went up 3 times the price from the time I quoted to the time I started. There was a lot of copper guttering and so forth on the job. And I said to the client, I'm really sorry, but the copper's gone up so much more than what I actually had allowed. I can't afford it. We're talking $40,000 and $50,000 loss just on the copper roofing and guttering. And it was actually a really good client. And he said, look, I understand. I will cover that difference because I actually came from the metals industry and I'm aware that there was an increase. And to put that on you would be a financial burden that could jeopardise your business. He was actually a genuinely nice person, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't nice, and he understood the facts. So what I had said was, you need to have an escalating or a scaled rate, and you should have a nominal rate within your quotes. So builders should be putting nominal rates as to what their allowances are per material. So at least a client knows, okay, if it goes above that, they'll pay above it, but that is our threshold of what we'll pay above, and if it drops down, they'll give them the discount.
I think it was a big wake-up call to the overall building industry that in reality we've had a boom for 20, 30 years. And from a contract point of view, they had their standard contracts, whichever association they were with, that they were using that standard contract, and thought it's all been checked out by the lawyers, it's all good, it's good protection for us, good protection for them. But COVID was one way out of the bag.
I'll just... shot everyone in the neck.
And there was nothing that they could do. There was no sort of option. But I think from an industry point of view, I think that's going to cause a big change, and whether or not that goes down that path of what you were saying, Chris, in regards to sort of looking at tonnage of different materials, or just it really needs to be re-looked at, because otherwise we don't want to see builders going down.
Well, the problem is, why don't they go bust?
Yep.
They're not going to go back to business. No. People lose money. They're not going to affect the subcontractors.
Yeah, their credit ratings go down.
All round. Everything goes down the
builder's
toilet.
Point of view, the builder could be a great builder.
Exactly.
And that's another skilled builder lost. And I hate to say it, but it's not an industry where you see them flooding, running back in. No, and we've got a federal government sitting there going, we want an extra 1.2 million houses, and we've got a diminishing trade base.
This comes out of the whole business thing. So, with that in mind, as the BDAA, and we're involved in a lot of committees, federally, state, local, and also trying to get education for our own members. Where do you see how BDAA is going to help the building designers in the future navigate this?
Well, BDAA always tries to forecast what is happening. We're in meetings across every state and territory in Australia, whether it's federal or as well. During those meetings, we assess what we believe. It's a little bit like a stock market. We're a broker. We've got to try to look at where we believe the industry is heading. What are the risks associated with that if we are not involved in some capacity, or if we don't educate the members? So the aim will be is, okay, we need to educate the industry, not just our members, we want to educate the industry. So for us as the BDAA, we provide education, generally that is not your generic education. We try to find a niche where the education we provide will be something different to what others produce. Otherwise, everyone's going to be going to that person. So we want them to come to us. If we can provide that, that is a risk that we've identified that we can try to mitigate. The more that we can do that, the better it is for the industry, and then the industry appreciates it. The government appreciate what the BDAA do. That's how come our membership has increased so much, and that's how come we're invited to nearly every roundtable discussion with every government in Australia.
And I agree totally, Chris. I think one of the other things is, from a designer, future designer, walking into the industry or starting out in business, I think certainly PD, professional development, keeping aware of what's going on, new products, new techniques, new situations. You're always going to get suppliers which are going to be highlighting to you about problems within the industry and how they've solved them. Some may be sales, but certainly are making you aware of it. But I think the other one is documentation. The level of documentation
Quality.
you do, quality documentation and specifications to really reinforce every chat, every discussion, every note that you've made with a client. That's going on the drawings. You're getting everything specified in there. You're not leaving it to any vagueness. You're not going to be confirmed. You're not going to be this product or similar.
Yep.
It's specified. The name is in there, and that's going to help protect the building designer from the point of view if there's a future issue. And you've nominated the product, you specified the product, you've given a performance solution for the product, you're covered. If it gets changed or substituted, you're still covered. And I think we've got to look after, from an industry point of view, and educate the builders to do exactly what's on there, do exactly what's been...
They need to understand their risks.
Yes, exactly.
Don't change shit for
Don't
the sake
change
of
it.
changing, because that is a major problem in the industry.
Yep.
It says, I've got a cheaper product.
Yep.
I can do this. Or you swap out, you specified, we're talking to James Harney WeatherTech, you swap one of those out for a cheaper product.
Yep.
Well, that's not what the client paid for.
No.
Well, the biggest issue is the clients are led by decisions from experts, professionals that they pay, thinking they're going to provide them the best advice. Now, the one thing that one of my pet hates is when a designer puts a product on a drawing or specifies a product on a drawing and a builder substitutes it. Why do you do that? When the client and the designer have been there for many months deciding what they want to have on their project, the designer wouldn't just go and put anything on. So basically the biggest concern is that, okay, a drawing has been drawn with a particular product in mind that the client and the designer would have spent a long time on debating what is the best product for my project.
Yeah.
Now, the issue is when that's substituted by the builder, they may not actually tell the client that's substituted because the material looks similar. But when they say, hey, let's substitute it for this is cheaper, a lot of the time it's because it might be harder to install, or they may never have installed it before, so it becomes
They stick to what they know.
Correct. And the issue is that nobody ever goes back to recheck what the thermal performance value is of that building and has the material substitution altered the performance of that building.
Or the bushfire rating.
Yep, but just one thing, because if you have a 6 or 7 star home and they substitute material and that's no longer a 6 star home, it's a 5.5, that building is non-compliant, and this is a big issue in the industry.
Yeah, it also ticks me off. Lack of inspections.
Yes.
There's not enough.
Nowhere near enough, and this might sound mental to everyone, that they're only prescribed what's under the regulations. There is a minimum. They go to the minimum.
You mean more, rather than lack of inspections, you mean lack of mandatory inspections.
Lack of mandatory inspections, and I don't understand it. And we've all seen the guy on Instagram. What's his name?
I know who you mean.
not
The Lebanese
inspection
inspector.
Especially guys, I love it. And people are paying for him to go there to inspect something that another inspector should have already done.
Yeah, and he's picking up all the anomalies. What was interesting, I was just in New Zealand, and everyone goes, "Hey, Chris, there's this guy on the internet, and he's like this inspector dude, and he looks like he's a security guard with his bullet vest."
But he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
It's like he's
That's
not
great.
he's not doing it in a vicious way. He knows his stuff, and he's inspecting, and he's saying exactly how it is.
But I mean, he's right. It's non-compliant.
It's non-compliant, and I have a big issue with if he is that popular, because he has been out on so many projects and they are that non-compliant, then we've got a major issue in our industry that there's nobody checking it, the building surveyors aren't checking it, and he's just walking on. I mean, obviously he has the plan, so he knows what he's checking against. But the fact that some of these ones are gaping holes in a thing that in a building that the surveyor's gone, yep, that's all right, pass it.
My favourite is when you go to the bath and pours the fluoro water
Goes
and
in down the
wrong
carpet,
way.
down the stairs.
Oh, well, this is just an absolute disgusting reflection of what our industry is doing at the moment.
And should be named and shamed because that is a blatant failure of a builder.
Not
Because they wouldn't call
not
them
just named and shamed. They actually need to be penalised. People need to start to lose their licence.
But then they take him to court, take the bodies to court, says you've taken my only way to earn a living.
Well,
No, definitely. You need another job if you're doing a shit job currently.
Exactly right.
You need to find another profession.
Yep.
So, and that is no, seriously, litigation is the way to go. And these
But
people,
no one can afford the litigation because they lost the value in their property.
I think you need to look at it because he does it in many states.
Yeah.
He's doing it in
So
Victoria
people are
and he's
flying
doing
him
it in
all over the place.
Yeah, and so that is why in Victoria we have VCAP, right? You go there. I mean, he would probably be called as a expert witness, turning up in his flak jacket, and
a straight jacket, you mean?
and giving his evidence. But everything that he's saying is true. It is accurate, and there's no reason why the builder or his qualified trades who are doing their prescribed jobs have performed the type of job that
That's
they
right.
have, and the building surveyor who then said, yep, this is all good. So
And hopefully the designer's done the right job.
well, hopefully the designer. Look, and look, I have to say that there's been, in a lot of his inspections, and I've watched a few of them, I haven't seen him criticise the designer / architect for the job. He's not looking at it saying that this is what's designed and it's faulty. It's non-compliant. He's actually showing, the house and how it's done, and then whatever has been constructed is totally non-compliant. I saw one the other day where he pulled out a roll of foil, aluminium foil, that was used as the barge flashing.
Saw that.
And the builder or the roofing plumber at that point had put aluminium foil, what we've wrapped the chicken up in, he'd put the aluminium foil on there and then painted it black. I mean, if that is not a total and utter disregard to the client's, asset that they're building, I don't know what is. And that should be prosecuted.
But that's all we're ever after trying to do. Everyone gets what they deserve for the right price, get all the right people doing their job, and someone's got a quality build at the end of the day. Regardless of what your build is, quality build.
Yes, exactly.
It's very simple.
Look, so we are. So sorry, Chris. I'll jump in. It's hard to believe I'm interrupting Chris.
I know.
I know. I've got the mic in front of me. It's just hold on, Albert. That is the reason why we talk about the documentation, the specification, and I'll harp on that. Is that if we do our job right, we document everything. We're not leaving anything to chance. Then from an industry point of view, we're giving that project the best possible opportunity for success.
Yep, agreed.
Right? And then the builder just has to comply with that. If the documentation's dodgy, It's starting off on the back foot, and
and it's
a
been
road
proven
disaster.
time and time again.
Look, the issue we've got, everyone talks about the guy, being on the build and having issues and look at this and look at that. That's not proper. My concern is that they actually don't know that they're actually doing it wrong.
Yes.
And that is a huge shock to me, because I've been on builds where I've had to go and do inspections, and I said to the guy, "Where's the weep hole?" He said, "What's that?" I said, "A weep hole." Like, I said, "Yeah, but what's
I
that?"
thought it was DP, the damp-proof course.
Yeah.
Where is it?
So this is the thing. My concern is the lack of knowledge out there in the industry from the contractors, undertaking the work. To me, is a huge problem, and I believe it's the education level of what people are getting. When I was young and I did my building diploma, that was a 4-year carpentry joinery course followed by 3 years of 3 day a week, 5 till 9 p.m. technical college to do the building diploma, plus 1 full Saturday every month, and that was a 4-year or 7-year all up segue to get to your builder's license. The issue today is people are just granted building. Like, you've been in the building industry 10 years or whatever. Oh, you've worked as a labourer. Okay, well, you can do a certificate and we'll give you a license to be able to go and build someone's home. It's ridiculous. Now, as a building designer and as an architect, our responsibility has to be provide them as much detail as you can. Like you've gone to an IKEA store and you've got the instructions, they need to understand how the flashing should be on. Or we've been talking about to the government and so forth, and to members creating QR codes. We're working with a company called Tools. We're with a foundation partner of them, where members can go on there, click on the job site, you can click on the flashing detail, and it actually shows you the flashing detail. You're able to then share that with any of the contractors on site. So when the contractors say, "Hey, I've never done this before, what should I do?" Hey, no problem. 2 seconds, I'll send you a text message with the detail. The detail is so important, because I honestly believe these contractors don't know what they're doing. They believe that they are good, but they actually don't know enough, and that is the problem. We need to educate them.
Oh, it's all about education and accountability.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you reckon?
In summary, you'd like to summarise something, or?
No, I think you've pretty much solved the world's problems right there.
Oh, we can keep on going. I mean, we've got some...
Trust me, they can keep going.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah. We'll do another session another time.
I think we will. It is
Sounds
interesting.
good. Yeah. All right, we might wrap it up
having
there.
us, guys.
Thanks for coming in,
Yeah.
having a chat,
Thanks for having
Chilling
us.
out.
chilling
You guys have
out.
been racing around all day.
Yeah, we have.
It's all good.
That's
It's important. It's important.
It is nice to sit down.
It'll be nice to go and lay down soon.
I reckon.
You've been exhausted. You've had a long day.
We've got to still go and socialise and do the...
You're very good at that.
Look, I take it on as it's a professional thing that I have to do. I've been working at it for a number of years.
And you're highly skilled.
I am highly skilled. That's a job. Somebody's got to do it.
Well, you do it very well.
Thank you.
Both of you.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you,
All right.
Darren. Thank you, Chris.
And thanks for supporting the industry, and keep doing the good work.
We're just
Thanks,
out
Chris.
there to educate people, aren't we?
Well, that's where we are.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the Building Design Primetime Podcast.
Catch us later.
You're listening to the Building Design Primetime Podcast.